unless you want to just be
Do I get my computer? Yeah. YouTube.
go click your profile to the far top right.
All right.
Go to your channel. I've clicked the live right there.
All right. Let's go. All right. All right. So this is how we roll. This is literally this is how we roll. I've just jumped off a meeting from the guy in Pakistan who is developing my new AI interface, which is quite fun and interesting and exciting. And maybe I'll tell you more about that. But Mohammed is amazing. I apologize for being 3 or 4 minutes late for this live interface, but it's for this live. But it's cool to be here. Session 2 of Coffee with Goughy. And have you got yours? Because I've got mine. Remember, mine is in large extra hot latte with 3 sugars. And I usually only have 1 coffee a day, but this has given me an excuse to have 2 coffees. So welcome wherever you are in the world. Session 2, episode 2 of Coffee with Goughy. Remember, this is your moment. This is your chance to shine wherever you are. We're on hello to everybody on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook. I'll share this out by Facebook. Great. So we had an opening session yesterday, which has gone down very well, and people have got in touch saying that they missed it. And I said, right, okay, let's do another one today, and give people a chance to just kind of settle into the format, the section, if you like, on the Paul Gough show. And this is your chance to join live. And these are my favorite moments whenever I do events. Yeah, I get to teach, I'm pretty much on a stage all weekend, but my favorite moment across the weekend was what we call hot mics. And unscripted, people walk up to the microphone in the middle of the room in front of 250 people, and I say, let's go, ask me anything you want. And that's what this is. It's an extension of something that you would see at my events, and this is your chance. We're gonna have some fun, I think, today as well. And this is going to be about business, but we're definitely going to have fun with other things going on around the world as well as this show takes over. And we hope to build up a regular listenership. We'll give you advance notice of when this session starts, but you need to get onto the Paul Gough on Instagram. You'll be notified there. That's the place where we announce, and we'll give you 24 hours notice of when the next show is going to take place. It might happen every day. It might happen 4 times a week. It might happen 3 times a week. Who knows? But we're going to have a lot of fun. And thank you to people who came on yesterday. Mustafa from Canada took out. We allowed the Canadians on the call yesterday. We had some fun with the Californians and the New Yorkers, and it is all fun, by the way, so don't take any of it seriously. I do like to have fun in life, and I believe that's what it's about. You can make a lot of money, but if you're not making fun at the same time, what the hell is the point? So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. So my producers, who are American, right? I believe everyone's American. One way or another. Everyone's American. One way or another. Last night, basketball. Anthony Edwards. So he's a little quiz for you. He's a little pop quiz before we get into business questions. So for those of you just joining and listening for the first time, I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm an Orlando Magic fan. Equally, I love Luka. European. and I'm absolutely in love with Anthony Edwards. Between those 2 guys, they are my heroes, and luckily I've met them both with my kids. Anthony Edwards last night, 10,000 points. Yeah. Who else did it at 24? Luka? No, nope. You're out straight away.
Didn't do it.
Nope,
LeBron,
nope. LeBron?
uh, Kobe,
Yes.
um, 10,000.
10,000 to 24. Youngest
At
ever. So the youngest
24.
ever. Top 4 youngest ever. They're all 24 when they did it.
Didn't do it.
Oh,
Kobe, Kevin Durant didn't do it.
Kevin Durant.
Thank you, KD. I
Kevin,
knew
KD.
my guy had to have done it. He's too
KD.
good.
So that was last night watching the Ant on I've got to say there's nothing better, particularly in winter when you're at home and it's a little dark, just getting in and watching the NBA pass game after game after game. Best use of $17 or whatever it is that I've spent time every single month. So anyway, that's enough of me preambling. What can we do? Let's go. So remember, everybody, as you listen to the format, we're going to have some fun as we go through it. We're going to answer some pretty serious questions. I don't know any of the questions. That's what's really cool about this. So wherever you are and whoever's joining in and wherever you're listening from, I don't know a single question. So, and I've literally walked from one meeting to the next and I haven't seen any of the questions. So come on, hit me. What we got?
We got Ben Lawson from Boise.
Boise, never been there, but would like to. Okay. Yep.
The question is, when I was struggling, people felt exciting. Now that we're doing better, it feels heavy. Is that normal?
So when I was, what did he say? When I first started?
Yeah. So he said, when I was struggling, growth felt exciting.
When I was struggling, growth felt exciting. Yeah, that's because people love the drama. Okay, I'll park that.
Better,
yep.
It feels heavy.
Now that we're doing better, it feels heavy. Oh, wow. Where do we go with this? So what often happens at the start of a business, it's exciting, and it is exciting, even though it's a challenge, it's a struggle, it's 18-hour days. You wake up and you think about your problems, you go to bed, you think about your business, you're thinking about cash flow, you're thinking about your reputation, you're thinking about, are you pricing right? Are you doing well enough? You're thinking, was it a good decision? So there's lots of adrenaline, and I think that's what you feel in the first 2 years of a business. One of my mentors, Greg Crabtree, talks about sweat equity in a business, which is basically in the first 2 years, everything's hard work, and there's lots of output, and there's lots of energy, and there's lots of sweat, basically, that you put into the business. And there's lots of adrenaline involved in that, because in the first 2 years, you accept that you might not make as much money, and you accept that it might not be as successful as everybody around you told you it was gonna be fine, it'll all work out. That, that initial thing that you feel is adrenaline. You're dealing with stuff all the time. You're dealing with new things, right, in the first 2 years of a business. And I think this is what this guy, Ben, is probably describing. In the first 2 years, everything is new. And in year 3, year 4, you've been through almost all of the problems, right? The problems don't really change. They just get a bit more consequential. They're always people problems or retention problems or drop-off problems or cancel, whatever, right? They're always the same kind of problem. They just get a bit more severe as payroll gets bigger. So what this guy's probably feeling and what we all feel in the first few years, is, like I said, adrenaline. But after that, it becomes quite boring because you're dealing with the same things over and over again. And that's when you get to find out, who's gonna win in business. It's when the excitement goes, are you still in love with it, right? Which is, I always talk about business, it's the same with relationships, right? Are you still in love with the person after the excitement is gone when you first met, right, in a relationship? If the initial excitement and attraction and you went on all of your first dates and your first holidays and you first meet the parents and your first Christmas and your first birthday and your first, whatever, are you still in love at the second birthday, the second Christmas, the second family Thanksgiving, so on and so forth? Because it's pretty boring after that, isn't it, right? Like, the initial thing is exciting, and I think that happens in business. And that's where you get to decide who really is a thoroughbred business owner and who loves the game versus somebody who just is a theorist, kind of hypothetically, theoretically wants to be successful in business and likes the title of being a business owner, but doesn't necessarily like the role of being a business owner, because it is it's the same shit, right? Every day, really. You're coming into a people problem, a cash flow problem, a bill didn't get paid problem, a bill didn't get settled at the other end problem. They just, like I said, they have more consequence. So I think you've got to see past that, and you've got to learn to do it, even though it isn't exciting. And I think it's a great question to start with, because for for probably many people listening who are year 2, 3, 4 onwards, this is going to be the story of your life. It won't feel as exciting, but that doesn't mean that you don't do it. And that's what's got to be understood. It isn't exciting hiring the 25th person, the first 2 or 3 kind of is. It isn't exciting launching the 27th Facebook ad, right? The first 1 or 2 are because you go home. It isn't exciting setting up the second and third clinic as it was the first. And you've got to separate yourself from this doesn't feel the same anymore to this is still practically what I want for my life. I want the outcome of hiring, not the excitement or the adrenaline of hiring. I want the outcome of the second clinic, not the adrenaline or the excitement of it. I want to be able to live a better life, a better quality of life. I want to go more places. I want to do more things. And that's the reason for, for the continued growth, if you like. So just let me check that again. It was, why does it feel exciting when I was struggling at the start? Yeah.
So it's when I was struggling, growth felt
Exciting. Yeah.
Now that we're doing better, it feels heavy.
Yeah, so it's flatline. So now I'm doing better. It feels heavy, right? Wonderful words. This is somebody's very in tune with himself, Ben. Now I'm doing better. It feels heavy. Just want to pop that light on as well for me, please, guys. Now I'm doing better. It feels heavy. I think the burden and the level of responsibility that's happening now is probably catching up. As businesses evolve, you get more responsibility. You deal with more stuff, more shit, and that's the heaviness that people describe. I wrote about this in one of my books, and it's the Extraordinary Achievement book, that ultimately people walk around all day long with dead weights of responsibility hanging to themselves, like hanging to their arms. And if you can picture yourself with kind of 3 or 4 weights hanging from your arm on your left and 3 or 4 weights hanging on your arm on your right, these are the responsibilities of I have to do everything. And, if I don't do it, nothing gets done. And it's my job to make sure that everybody's happy. These are all responsibilities that people carry around with them all day long. And one of the biggest ones that people carry with them is the responsibility to worry. Somebody somewhere has invented a scenario where that if they think that they worry hard enough for long enough, everything's going to be all right. And it's a false responsibility. And that, unfortunately, what's happened is the sort of bigger picture of what Ben wants for his life there, and like where he wants to go because of his business, has been swapped with, unfortunately, false responsibilities, which, although very common, are pretty just unnecessary, if you like. So first of all, like always, you've got to be aware. You've got to cut the cord on the responsibilities that are absolutely just pointless, and thinking that you can make everybody happy is crazy, and thinking that you're responsible for everything going right, if it doesn't get done by you, it doesn't get done right, is nuts. Like we spoke about that yesterday, that you've got to be able to deal with that. So so I hope there's something in that there that's pretty common, and what we go through as business owners. It's very exciting, the adrenaline in the first few years, but then you get to see who's really in the game of business. And I can't say this enough. This is where you're going to get killed as a business owner. If you're trying to run a business and you don't love it enough to learn about it, you will be hurt, and it will be a lifelong struggle, and you will end up, there's a reason statistically 80% of businesses are broke within 5 years, 96% are broke within 10. And it's not because the business owner doesn't want it, right? Like of course they want it, but they lack the skills in order to do it. So you get past that first 2 years, you've got to learn business ownership skills. If not, your ship's already sinking. So there we go. That's my first question answered. Thoughts? All right with that? Do we have any sound effects today? Do we have an appropriate sound effect for that? Is that the best we've got for a mic drop? What's that? What is it? It's like my 2-year-old knocking on my bedroom door. Never mind a mic drop. Try again. Oh, that's not a mic drop. I mean, come on, we'll have to try that again, definitely. Right, okay. I like this one. Yeah, I like that buzzer. With basketball, the beater buzzer. That's what we'll call that one. Yeah. So boys, so where are we going now? Savannah by the look? Yeah.
Yeah, we got San Diego, Cali.
Oh, we're back in California, right?
Back in Cali.
Okay.
Perez.
I like San Diego. True story. Before I moved to Orlando, I almost moved to La Jolla. I spent a lot of time in La Jolla, and that's where I first kind of started my journey. I went to many marketing conferences in San Diego. It was a big hub originally for digital marketing, sort of 2015, 2014 time. And I loved La Jolla. I stayed in a little apartment near the library, for any of you who know that area. and we looked at staying across there. And then I saw the light and realized that I'd be giving up 60% of my life to taxes and dealing with all sorts of crazy shit over there that I didn't want to. And I still love it though. And as much as I bash California, I do it in jest, and all my clients know I love California. And there might actually be a secret resentment to like not actually living there, and I really did want to, but it was just so expensive. I thought Orlando, and I don't regret it, but I do love La Jolla and going back there regularly. Right, come on, what's you got?
We got Nicole Perez.
Nicole, yeah.
So said, I think I've outgrown being a clinician, but admitting that feels wrong.
Okay, stop. So Nicole is outgrown. Nicole is admitting that she is outgrowing being a clinician. Do we have a big round of applause? Do we have a big? I think we need to round up. We need acknowledgement. We need acknowledgement here, right? This is what we need, guys. We need some acknowledgement that people have outgrowing. My entire mission is to move as many people away from being clinicians to real entrepreneurs. So you're kindred spirits here. So let's go, Nicole. She's outgrown her clinician. Yep.
But admitting that feels wrong. How do you know when it's time to level up?
Admitting that feels wrong.
Yes,
So some guilt there. How do you know when it's time to level up? So I assume that means that she wants to know when is it time to get to go to that next level. I think she's answered her own question. I absolutely believe that the best business owner. So I've coached 1,000+ clinics, and that's not an exaggeration. More than 1,000 people at my seminars last year. I've worked one with more than people easily over the last 10 years. And here's what I know about the best. They have the best intuitions. And most of the time they come to somebody like me to confirm it and then to help them move on faster than they would have done. And I think the answer here is there's a little bit of grief, right? This is going to sound really deep and morbid, but what I find as I go on my own personal journey, and that's all business ever has been for me, a personal journey. I've learned so much about myself because of the need to be stronger and better in business and dealing with all of the shit that comes with it. And one of the things that you realize is that you move through the phases, there's actually a little bit of grief associated with growth that nobody talks about. So hear me out. So when I'm a kid, I'm 15 or 16, I want to be a physical therapist. And at that point, I'm dreaming about being a sports physio. I'm on the field with footballers. And, luckily I got to do that in my early career. And then my dream was to be a physio business owner, right? Or run my own clinic. And I never really understood the concept of business ownership. I just thought, I'm going to be a good physio. I don't really want to work for anybody. I'm going to do my own thing. Full caseload, call myself a business owner, and off I go. But at every point when I've moved through the gears, admitting that I didn't want to be a football physio anymore, there was a sense of grief that I was leaving something behind. And I had to acknowledge that. So what I was feeling was a little bit of sadness at actually progressing. And then I become a very good and very sought after solo clinician. People want to hire me and I'm fully booked for weeks and months, out. And then I think, I don't want to be a clinician anymore. I want to be a business owner. And there's another grief. There's another phase of grief because I'm leaving behind every time dreams. And this will sound however you want, right? But this is one of the best analogies I can give you. So I was back in Hartlepool for Christmas, a small little town in England where I'm from, and I love it. I'm deeply proud of it, ferociously proud of my upbringing and my parents and family and just where I'm from. I've got nothing really bad to say about it, except it's changed now. And the conversation that I had with Natalie at Christmas was one of grief. Like the town that I know doesn't exist anymore, what I grew up in terms of the social, the people, the characters, the attitudes. The town has completely changed, and it isn't a place that I would like to grow up in or raise my kids in anymore. And that comes with a sense of grief and acknowledging that time has moved on, and the place that I rush back to every Christmas isn't what it was 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, if I'm honest, pre-COVID. The way that society has changed, people don't go out anymore. There's no money there. It's a huge illegal immigration town. It's like it's just changed. It's beyond all reasonable like recognition of what I grew up with. And so there was a touch of sadness at Christmas when I went home, and I think I finally accepted that town is gone now as to what I have the memories of, and I'll always have those memories and I'll always go back. But there was a touch of grief that it had changed, and actually I'd moved on, and it can't now give me what I need anymore when I go back there. So I'm going to have to rethink summers and Christmases and how much I spend back there, because it isn't the town that I've held on to. So what I'm saying to Nicole is the same thing happens to business owners, is that you grieve at this point for the life you thought you were going to have. You thought you were going to be a clinician, and at 26 you thought If somebody just said to you, I'm going to be a fully booked clinician running my own little clinic, you just snap their hands off and that was your dream and that's what you wanted to be. Whereas today, that dream's been upgraded. So, in order for you to get the new dream as business ownership and hiring more people and impacting more people, you've got to let go of the one before. And that actually there's a little bit of grief there, right? And again, nobody's going to ever talk to you about it like that. But that's what's happening to people. So, people who are moving through their identity gears, they go from a student to a job, and now I'm an employee. I leave that one behind. I become a solo practitioner. I've got a new identity, and then I go from that to a business owner. Well, at each level, I'm having to leave a phase behind, if you like. And this one is quite powerful because it's pretty cool being a physio, right? Really, it's a wonderful job, helps so many people. And I always say it's better than being a doctor or a dentist because even a chiropractor, old school chiropractor, 6 to 7 minutes, you're in and you're out, right? Yes, there's a new generation and, people are evolving that profession. But a physio, a dentist can't talk to you. A doctor doesn't have time to talk to you. A physio gets a chance to talk to you for an hour, right? Like that was so special and powerful that's hard to leave because the relationships that we form as physios are actually very, very different from most other healthcare professionals because of the amount of one-on-one time that we get together and the progress that we get to see people make as a result of what we do. So I suspect Nicole's grieving for that she's leaving that behind, but she has to remember where she wants to go, not where she's been. And I'm going to say this finally, she needs to be greedy. And she needs to start thinking about her life at the end as having multiple dreams achieved, not just one. And that's another thing that society does. It conditions you to have a dream. It talks about, that was my dream. It's like, okay, well, screw that. Let's have 5 dreams and let's get to the end of your life and go, out. Remember when I did that in that phase, then I did that in that phase, did that in that phase, and did that in that phase. So good for you, Nicole. Admitting it it might feel wrong, but it doesn't mean that it's right. You might also just be, there's a difference between fear, genuine fear, and giving up control. And you're in control right now of a full caseload. You're about to move into the big, bad, scary world of being a business owner and managing people and evolving. Like, welcome to hell. Literally, there should be a sign in this office above me saying welcome to hell because the reality of running a business is that's what it's like, but it's just really fun, right? It's a fun challenge that you get to kind of fight and deal with every single day, as long as you take it seriously, as in you learn the skills and you be around smart people and you ask good advice and you execute. Business ownership's the greatest thing in the world, if you ask me. So nice one, Nicole. Nice one. And say hello to everybody in La Jolla for me. There's a lovely restaurant, so this'll test you. Is Benini's still there? Benini's is a little Italian and pizza shop that I used to go to in a restaurant in La Jolla. So there you go. Right.
Okay, we got someone in the UK.
UK, let's go.
We got Will Kirk in Manchester.
Well, this is where that conversation ends. I need to know if he's a Manchester United fan, because if he's a Manchester United fan, I ain't answering his fucking questions for nobody. So can we just clarify that? If he's a Manchester United fan, the conversation goes any further. 0. I'm a big Liverpool fan, and although we're doing pretty crap right now, or we did draw with Arsenal last night, which might have dented Arsenal's Amy and Arsenal's chances. But I've come to the conclusion at this point in my life that I hate Manchester United more than I love Liverpool. And I've loved Liverpool since I was 8, and I have adored them since that period of time. John Barnes and all of those guys in the 80s. But I actually get more pleasure out of Manchester United's demise on a weekend than Liverpool winning. So I'm gonna give, what's his name? Will. I'm gonna give Will the benefit of the doubt that he might be a Man City fan, and I'll answer his question. I have no affinity whatsoever with Man City, so I'm not. They're a 1-decade team, so we don't have any deep hatred for City. So, what's his question?
I have 2 front desk staff.
Yeah.
And 3 physios.
Okay.
If I get the 3rd physio fully booked in the next couple of months, what would be the sensible next step for my practice in terms of hiring and growing the business?
Well, the next sensible step for anybody is Voice AI, is a full-time voice assistant. The reality now, I think I'll know the model what he's got in the UK, and I used to have 1 full-time physio for 1 full-time receptionist, right, to provide the level of service that I wanted to. These days, because what's going to happen is if Will's not careful, he's going to end up trading on good physio, and that's where he'll get beat. Somebody will come along and be a better physio than him. My advice to anybody is to think about your physio clinic as a coffee shop, which it's about the people, it's about the stories, it's about the gossip, it's a third home, it's a place where people go and they're recognized, it's the cheers, if you like, of physiotherapy. And it's nearly always the mistake that people just add more and more providers, and the service gets worse and worse. Every time you add a provider, you're expecting 2 front desk gals to do all of the customer service for a third provider, and in the end, it fails, and that's why you lose your clients. The answering the phone isn't as good. The customer service when they walk in isn't as good because the staff are all busy. It's absolutely a voice AI assistant at this point. And we spoke about this yesterday. Beyond all reasonable doubt, Will, that voice AI, even in Britain where we are often 5 years behind in terms of adopting things, voice AI right now is the next step for every single person listening to this call, watching this live stream. There is nobody, and I don't care what city you're in, what town you're in, you're all going to say, my town's different, it's slow here, they don't like technology and all that shit. What they like is picking up the phone and somebody speaking to them and booking an appointment or answering their questions in real time more than any human. There's no romance over that. But most of them wouldn't even know it's an AI anyway. It's getting to that level. So the next step is a full-time voice AI. But what we'll do then is we'll play chess, and we'll be able to put your 2 front desk gals into a more customer service, customer-centric, humanistic kind of approach, if you like. So one of them is doing admin out the back and dealing with paperwork and shit and whatever. One of them is fully engaged with the client, making coffee or tea and hugs and just gossips and just interacting in a human way that nobody else can do. And then the voice AI answers the phone 24/7. And that's the model for the future clinic that's going to be successful, because as AI comes along, it will strip all of the businesses are going to fail with AI because they're going to strip humans out of it completely. And in our type of business, we still rely upon a human service. So as much as voice AI can do the booking of the tasks, the tasks, the repeatable things, you still want some really good humans in your office who are fantastic with the fun and the let's get to know you and tell me, if I'm in Manchester, I'd want somebody who is a Man City fan or a Manchester United fan, just having fun all day, talking about results and games and goals and the demise of, Old Trafford and all of that good stuff. So, so that's his next step is don't let the caseload outrun the ability to provide the service to keep it at a level that people would be happy with. So don't add 5-6 practitioners and have 2 admin. Those days are long gone. Old insurance models needed to do that because they couldn't hire, and couldn't keep the price right, the profitability right. But with AI these days, yeah, I mean, everybody's doing it now. So get on board, even in Britain, by the way. All right, what else?
We got Boston.
Boston. We're going back to Massachusetts. Come on, I like Boston.
We got Alex. He's in Cambridge, actually.
So my son is a huge Boston Celtics. Tell me something about the Celtics. What do we know except for Jason Tatum?
Well, Jason Tatum injured, so all we know about that team is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
No, I mean they've been winning the last few years. They're injured right now, but they're surprisingly top 5 in the East, playing great basketball.
I went to the first game of the season last year, to watch them. I've been for the last couple of years. They often take Harry up to see them, so we're regular visitors to the Tea Garden, isn't it? The Tea Garden. The Tea Garden's it's the stadium. I'm sure it's the Tea Garden. TD Garden. That's the one. There you go. Yeah. All right. What's the next one?
So Alex said, I just transitioned from an insurance-based practice to an entirely cash-pay practice.
Okay. Round of applause, please, for Alex. Round of applause. Do we have round of applause from the studio? All right. I think that's worthy of another one. Actually, come on, another round of applause for Alex, for everybody. Turn it up nice and loud. Alex has absolutely nailed it. So he's got rid of all of the insurance crap, and he's now fully cash pay. Good.
Can you give me an idea on where this could break and what I need to make sure is nailed on in my practice to generate 2 times profit in 2026?
So I've just transitioned from insurance-based practice to an entirely cash pay practice. Can you give me an idea of where this could break and what I need to do to make sure I generate 2x profits in 2026? Right. Well, let's answer the fact. Where it will break is that you bring the marketing from an insurance-based business to a cash pay business, which is completely different. Insurance-based, it's run-of-the-mill, right? It's not that difficult to scale an insurance business, and I mean that with respect, because everybody's out there, right? The fish are out there. They're all looking for physio. They're getting referred off doctors. Like, just be slightly better than everybody else, and your customer service and your personality will probably win the insurance game in all respect. But the trade-off is that your margins are probably 5 to 10% if you're lucky, right? Really, really, unless you're really implementing cash pay inside of an insurance these days, if you're pulling 5 to 7%, you're doing all right after salary, right? So you're paying yourself a 150 salary, but after that, 5 to 7% margins are probably the norm within insurance business. typically a cash pay business, 20%, right? It's not out of the ordinary. In fact, it's almost the norm inside of businesses in Planet Paul. 20% where the business owner is getting 175. But what changes is two things. The ferocious push towards marketing that positions the business as something different to being a physical therapy clinic. So they usually own an audience or a niche, like a triathlon or golf or pelvic floor, whatever, right? Running, whatever it will be. Movement coach, so just something different. It's never the run of the mill, but they've equally got a lot of modalities. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but in 2026, the future of our businesses, right? We're now slowly but surely competing very well, very quickly with Funk Med, with regen services, right? They're popping up everywhere. Monthly membership style regen services, recovery labs, things like this. They're popping up everywhere, and they're taking your patients. If you're a cash pay business, it's very difficult to scale one-on-one. So what we've watched the most successful cash pay businesses do is actually implement technology, shockwave, red light, hyperbaric, compression boots, all of these types of things inside of the business, and create areas that people can come in, pay monthly membership to go access some very expensive or just, accessible equipment that they can charge them $500, $600, $700 a month for. And that is making a difference in the profit margins. And that is how you'll 2x your profits. Just take whatever you did last year and bolt on a concierge monthly membership model, and your profits will probably go from 5% to more, 15%, 20%, which is my favorite model. And I teach this, I'll talk about this a lot more on these shows, I imagine. $1.5 million business, 175 grand salary, 20% take home profit. That's nearly 450 G's for the business owner in a cash pay model with probably 3 physios, 3 full-time physios, 3 staff, a marketing assistant. Obviously, yes, using voice AI, using AI for marketing. It's a wonderful business model. 1.3 to 1.5, that's absolutely possible. And the beauty of it is, as I always see it, you're big enough that you can make enough money, and 450 is a nice salary. But equally, you've got 25 staff, which is an absolute headache, right? Trust me. Like, once you get past 7 or 8, you deserve every penny you get in business because it's brutal. So if you want the brain damage of lots and lots of staff, then great, you might be able to make a bit more money. But I think the sweet spot is somewhere around about $1.25 to $1.5 million, 3 to 3.5 times a full-time equivalent physios. You on salary for 175 a year with around about 300 grand take home. To do that, you will need a very strong cash pay concierge type model, which brings a physio patient through the doors, and then they move forward with you to spend another $5,000 or $6,000 in concierge. You do that to 2 or 3 out of 10 of every patient, you will double profits in 2026, Alex. Good luck. So what's happening in football? Let's stop business. What's the wild card? Talk to me. Come on, wild card weekend. Let's have a break.
The Chiefs didn't make the playoffs this year.
The Chiefs. Well, I'm gonna have to pick a team, right? I'm gonna have to pick a team because I suspect some of these conversations might move towards more NFL. As much as I'm a basketball lover, so I might pick the Chiefs. They're still good.
Yeah, they're good. They're just injured.
I mean, I'm a Taylor Swift fan at heart, so I mean that's all I know about the Chiefs is Taylor Swift.
Well,
So
I'm sure Travis Kelce's happy that he's home.
I mean, I know Kelsey very well as well. I followed him as a result of Taylor, which she's been wonderful for the NFL for you guys. It's really put you in the spotlight. I do think the NFL is much better off with Taylor Swift in the stands. That's for sure. So I might punt for the what's he called, the quarterback again? Brady, is it? What's he?
Tom Brady?
No,
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Okay, Mahomes. Okay, I've heard of him. Yeah. So what else? Cowboys. I bet they didn't make it either.
Cowboys didn't make it this year. No Cowboys.
When was the last time they made it?
Whew, I couldn't even give you a year.
Were you not alive at that point? No.
That might have been a few decades.
Somebody ask Cam. When next time Cam walks past this office. When was anybody know? Type into the chat. Let's see how active our audience. Instagram. Anybody know? When was the last and you're not allowed to use Google or AI. When was the last time the Cowboys were in the playoffs? Let's start that question rolling on the internet. Put it on the feed so people can see it as well for me, Drew. Question for the audience, because I don't want this to be me teaching business. I want you to teach me some NFL stuff. I feel like I need to understand NFL. I've never really got it, and Brits look at NFL and think, what the fuck? I mean, real football is an actual ball and you actually kick it, not this egg thing that you throw. You know what I mean? It's like, Anyway, I've just lost a legion of followers at this point now with my disrespect towards the biggest game in America, but that's okay.
No,
Right.
it's pretty cool. They got actually.
So this weekend's the what? The wild card.
The wild
So how does that
card.
work?
So
Do I have
that's
to
like
finish?
to get into the play. It's a playoff game, but it's like
So it's a playoff to get in the playoffs.
Winner go home to get in.
Okay.
Yep.
So if I finish just below the playoffs, I can get. Is that like the same as basketball?
Yep. So you're right outside the playoffs,
Yeah.
kind of.
So I play off to get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can't choose between you two. So you can play.
Is it theoretically possible that the wild card winner wins? Has anybody ever done that?
It is possible. To give you an exact team, that I don't know. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's got close. At least the Super Bowl, I believe.
Wow.
But I don't know if winning it is crazy. That'd be a crazy story.
So who is going to win this year?
This year, well, the Eagles won last year, so they're back in it. They're in the race. I'm rooting. I feel bad because Aaron Rodgers is a Green Bay guy. I don't like Green Bay, but he's like 50 years old, hasn't made the playoffs in a long time. Joined the Jets. They couldn't win a game.
Yeah, they're useless, aren't they?
Yeah.
As well?
Then he joined the Steelers, and they're in the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Which is crazy to see this 50-year-old man.
Is he 50?
He's up there. He's just really old.
What position does he play?
Quarterback.
All right.
So he's one of the most iconic quarterbacks in the league.
So he's in the Steelers.
He's on the Steelers.
Is he as iconic as Jim Kelly?
100%.
So I'm gonna. So for everybody who's not watching this, you're gonna miss out. But I'm very proud. As much as I don't know much about NFL, I've met a great man himself. And this is a signed ball. Did you see this? This is a signed ball from Jim Kelly, who I had at my event, and he said, "Great, Paul, great job. Stay cool, my friend, Jim Kelly." How's that? Cool. There we go. So that's my. So for those of you wondering what the props are behind me, they're all things that have been at my event or stuff that just reminds me of some of the biggest things that we've done in this business, which is cool. And meeting Jim Kelly was certainly one of them, and he gave me these balls. So maybe we have a little throwing competition at some point in this office. Right, let's get on with it. What?
We did get a fun fact.
Okay. Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Did enter the wild card and end up winning the Super Bowl after beating the Chiefs. That's cool.
So let me get this. So that was with the Patriots.
No, that's with the Bucks.
Oh, wow.
Back.
Here.
Yeah, remember he came back.
Here.
I believe,
Yeah.
joined the Bucks.
Yeah.
And made the wild card.
And then they went on to win.
And then went on to win the Super Bowl.
There we go.
He left the Patriots to go prove a point.
Wow, there we go. Well, you learn something every day. So cool. Right, keep them. I'm gonna have to pick a team, and I'm leaning towards because of Taylor Swift. My daughter is called Sailor, and I call her Sailor Swift. So there you go. So that gives me a link. That gives me a link to Kansas Chiefs. So I might come in with some swag on one day. I'll bring my own Ando Magic and some Kansas Chiefs stuff. Yeah. So what's going on?
All right, we got Harry from Birmingham, England.
Harry from Birmingham, England. All right. Let's go. Friday night in England. What the fuck are you listening to me for in England? Why is he not in a pub? It's 20-8 in England. Or is he? Has he got a bottle of wine in his hand?
He's trying to figure out some of these questions with these PTs.
Come on then, Harry. Let's go.
What are your first steps to hiring a new PT?
A job ad. Whack, whack. Go on. Sound effects. Keep up, Mr. Producer. That was funny, that one. No, I need the whack, whack, whack. What? No. There we go. You'll get there in the end. Yeah. So, job ad. No, the first steps to hiring a PT is to be emotionally ready for it. You've got to get to the point in business with hiring. It's always about being emotionally ready for the setbacks and it not being perfect, right? So I'm going to do all my practical things. I need a good job ad. And by the way, Harry, if you seriously are looking, I've been in business for when did I start the Paul Goughy Physio Rooms? 20 years. I'm actually 20 years this year for the Paul Goughy Physio Rooms, and I'm 10 years for the Planet Paul Mastermind this year. So we're having a big celebration in LA in May. Just FYI, get in touch for that. But so in 20 years of hiring in the UK, this is the golden moment. The National Health has stopped hiring PTs or physios in England. And as a result, there is just a swath of people, of physios who can't get jobs. It's never been easier to hire physios in the UK right now in 20 years. And everyone in our mastermind in the UK is saying the exact same thing, that before it was literally you breathed, you could have a job. Whereas now there is actually a selection process that can take place. So the first thing is to remember that it's not going to go right first time. It might take the second or third, and that's okay. It was a good decision. It might just be the wrong execution. But what I want you to know, Harry, is the number one determining factor as to whether or not this person is successful is the body language and the confidence of this kid. Whoever you go hire, right? Don't go hire someone who's been in the NHS for 10 years because they ain't coming back from the dark side. Like it's like hiring Darth Vader and expect them to come to the good side, right? It is not going to happen. They're just getting indoctrinated with just useless shit, basically. Like, don't touch them with a barge pole. You want a kid out of college, keen, hungry, happy to learn, but who is attitudinally fantastic and has swagger, has aura, I think is the word you use, right? Has a little bit of aura. Just aura is the key. And the number one thing to look for is eye contact and body language. If they can't look in the eye, if they can't look their customers in the eye, their clients in the eyes, everything fails. It doesn't matter how good the service is in terms of their physio skills. Everything fails if that guy or that girl doesn't have some aura. So look for body language. Look for how they posture when they interview. Look for how they walk. Can they look you in the eye? Will they shake your hand? Do they talk clearly, confidently? Because there is nothing else that matters in private practice than that. And that's all anybody buys into when somebody pays out of pocket for private healthcare. How confident do you look? If you don't look confident, I'm out. And it doesn't matter how clinically skilled they are, you're looking for somebody with body language. And this will piss everybody off who's 25 years experienced. But the people who do better in private practice is the kid out of college with the aura, the swagger. And I hired, so this isn't coming from, I think, I hired more than 30 physios in my time, and the ones who smashed it were the ones I've just described. Straight out of college, attitudinally aligned, couldn't think of anything worse than working for the system or for the NHS, want a chance in private practice, want to be around you, have got good aura, good body language, good eye contact, are fun to be around, got a joy to them. Find that guy or that girl, and that's where I would look. The skill's irrelevant. It literally is irrelevant, so don't worry too much about that, but that's where I would start. But just be emotionally ready, and it won't go perfect first time. It might take you the second or the third, but this is a good step for you. And again, just don't neglect the service. Don't have two of you on physio kind of duties and nobody answering the phone because you're clinical. It's like you got a two-legged horse. It ain't gonna win. You need to prop that business up with some great service and making sure that doesn't drip or dip when you put more people on schedule. So, any of you seen Peaky Blinders? I'll teach you something.
I've seen a little bit of
Peaky, well, that's Birmingham. That's Birmingham.
Oh,
That's
really?
Birmingham. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's Birmingham. Yeah. Peaky Blinders, probably one of my favorite ever series. Yeah.
Started it last week.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's
Yeah.
literally that's Birmingham. Yeah.
It's gas. That's what we say. It's really good.
It's gas. What does that mean?
Gas.
Does that mean it's
It's
good?
really good.
Sweet. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's in the aura thing.
All right. Gas. Yeah. Tobias comes out with all this shit. He's into his auras. Yeah. Lit. He says lit occasionally as well.
Get you hip.
Lit.
Get you hip to something. Lit's cool. That's
Yeah,
lit.
he's-
That's fire.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Sup. It's his latest one. His friend's always on.
Sup.
He's playing with his friend on Minecraft or whatever tonight, and they have their phones, so they talk to each other. He doesn't have a phone, but he has his mum's. And whenever I see him, I always go, "Yo, what's up?" And his mate, just his friend Luis, he's called, "Sup." That's all he says. He doesn't even say "What's up." It's just "Sup." They've shortened it to the last possible. Can't be bothered to talk to you. It's just now "Sup." So
That's good.
yeah, there we go.
All right. We got Nashville, Tennessee.
One of my favorite places. Let's go, Nashville.
Carolina.
Cool place. I spent a lot of time in Franklin. A good business coach. I spent a lot of time with in Franklin. So love Nashville. Love. Best barbecue, white barbecue sauce in the world. And Alabama's up there, but Nashville's fantastic.
All right. Caroline said, "How do I track patient volume, revenue, and profitability without spending too much time on it? Or what numbers do I need to look at to know my practice is healthy?"
Caroline, good question. The answer is it depends upon what phase and what size you are. The bigger the business, the more tempting it is to think that you need to know everything. And in the beginning, most people kind of don't want to know anything. The reality is if I'm a cash pay clinic at the start of my business, and this is why I don't know the context, if I'm at the start of my business and I got nobody on payroll, I just need to pay attention to how many leads have I got, a reasonable understanding of my conversion, how many how many people are arriving, and how many people are moving forward with packages. That's it, right at the start. But as I get bigger, then I want to know a lot more. Cash flow becomes important. More and more about each individual provider, which girl answers the phone, and how many bookings I get from it. So paralysis analysis with numbers is happens, and this is what happens to you. And I'm going to say this to everybody because most people will be listening who are PTs or practice owners. You're all logical, right? I have for whatever reason I've got a left and a right side of my brain that's quite developed, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. what that means is there's a entrepreneurial side of my brain, which is big picture, it's creative, it's out there, right? Whereas most practitioners, or I've certainly developed that, right? Most practitioners are very logical. So the side of the brain that is obsessed with data and numbers and research and outcomes is so strong. It's like they've trained the left side of their arm, and it's like it's huge in relation to the right side of their arm. All of the creativity to grow the business is in the right hand side, and all of the sort of logic, stoic stuff that you need to have as a practitioner is in the left hand side. So when you come into looking at numbers, I've watched people go down rabbit holes and they want to know every number, and they end up needing to know more numbers because they didn't understand the one before. So be careful not to think you need every number. It's important to have a good dial of numbers. Top 5 or 6 would be arrival rate for leads, how many conversions, how many people bought packages, how many people in terms of the average order value. That's a pretty big one, in the number of average sessions somebody has, and the average spend. So the average order value, the average spend is the absolute critical one. If you're asking me, how many leads have I got and how much are they all going to spend? If I know that, I've got a reasonable shot at predicting my business and how much I'm going to make at the end of the month. And to throw that out there, if you're in the US, where was this lady in Nashville? Nashville, you're probably looking at around about $2,000, $2,500 per case. So every patient you get should be spending about $2,500. If you're a cash pay business, insurances are usually around about $1,200, $1,300. That critical number is huge for you to understand, because then I can go, right, how much do I want to make? Well, if I want to make 15 grand a month, well, and I've got average patient value of 2,500, well, I only need 6 patients. Well, if I go get 25 leads from Facebook and Google, I only need a 20% conversion ratio from that point. So I only need 2 out of 10 of my leads to say yes, and I'm going to make whatever it was, 15 grand a month, right? So once I know those 2 numbers, I can start to scale up my company. Cash flow forecast becomes very important when you're on payroll and when you got payroll and paying attention to each provider's utilization and how much money they're making you becomes just the holy grail, or you run out of cash basically. So, so that's what it is. But the most important number in the business, the price. And again, don't go down the rabbit hole of trying to fix arrival rate when you're charging $75 a session. Just start bold and 275 or 375. Let's start there. That number probably gets most people out of problems that they're in. The numbers that they're looking at are not good. So if you're looking at your numbers, it's the effect, it's the lag. But the leading indicator is often how much do I charge? If I charge enough, most things take care of themselves after that. All right, what else?
All right, we got.
How are we doing for time? This could be the last one. What's happening? Anything on Instagram? Anything going on Facebook? What are we looking at here? Yeah, nice to see everybody. All right, type into the chat if you can see me on Instagram if you're just coming in. Tell me what NFL team I should support. I need to pick a team, apparently. What questions we got?
All right, we got Omaha, Nebraska.
Nebraska, a place I've never been, and in all honesty, never dreamed about going. I think I've seen it out of the window a few times, flying between Orlando and LA. Where even is Nebraska? Anybody? Anybody know? Anybody know? If anybody knows where Nebraska is, please let us know. Geographically. Okay. Somewhere in between. Spoken like a true tourists. Come on.
All right, Mike said, my front desk only covers 8 to 4. So we're missing calls after hours. If the role isn't producing results that justify the pay, what's the right move as an owner?
I mean, having your front desk cover 8 till 4 is pretty standard, right? But it's 2010 thinking, right? It's 1985 thinking, in fact, never mind 2010. 8 till 4 is standard. It's like, that's what every business is doing. But it's 2026, right? I think that AI has made its way to Nebraska. Yeah, I'm sure Nebraska's got phones and Uber and stuff. Yeah, I imagine I would hope so. I mean, it could be like Hermitage, where I went to recently, a few years back, like the Flintstones. But I'd imagine if Nebraska, right, has got electricity, we've got some AI going on as well. So the next best move to make is to tighten up the service and make sure that somebody answers that phone at 4 o'clock all night, all weekend. And when this front desk girl or guy is sick, ill, off because their kids are sick or just stuck in traffic or the office is busy or whatever it will be, I love having a front desk girl, right? Like for the love, for the huddle, the cuddles, the hugs, the gossiping with the clients. And that's what these businesses are about, right? At the heart of it. my business was built on this. And at one point, I remember having, I think, 7 or 8 full-time front desk gals, or certainly 6 and maybe 2 part-time. And it was just an obsession over the human-centric approach to how we made people feel when they answered that phone. I was building software late 2000s. A patient of mine, it didn't end well, but we were certainly using it for years, and it was called One-to-One, and I actually developed it myself. Like, obviously, he wrote the code, but I kind of told him what I wanted, and it was called One-to-One because the whole idea was to build a database that allowed a one-to-one relationship. And I was very early to having my phone ring, so I'm going back 2005, 2006 when I started my practice. I'm going back to my phone ringing, and a name popped up on the screen. If we had your telephone number in our system, a name popped up on, because I didn't want my girls to say, hello, welcome to Paul Gough Physio Rooms, if you'd been to us before. I wanted them to answer the phone by saying, hi, Jay, we haven't seen you for a little while. How's life? And when we did it, patients were in awe. And again, I'm in a small little town in Hartlepool, probably like Nebraska, right? Some little town in a little area that nobody knows and never wants to go there. And, the planes go over the top of it or the trains go past it, but nobody stops. We were doing this in the late 2000s, definitely, right? Before the 10s. And we plugged these little apps into phone lines, and I built my own database because all of the other EMRs wouldn't do it. It was because I wanted a one-on-one service, and I wanted everybody to know that when they arrived in the office, we knew who you were. And that to me was always what it was about, building a physio business. And the clinical skills took care of themselves, and physios did their own thing, and they went on their own courses, and yeah, we did some in-service training and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, the Paul Gough Physio Room still runs 20 years later is because of that obsession over human beings. And I'm of the belief that as AI takes over, and I'm a huge proponent of AI, if I can use anything that has got an AI element to it, I'm finding it right now. However, until they produce a robot that can love and hug and cuddle and can gossip and can have fun and talk with people at a level that is, did you see that on TV last night? Did you watch the Dancing with the Stars and who do you think should win kind of conversation? Not the, did you see what happened in Venezuela or did you see that on TikTok last night? None of that shit. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean in terms of the emotional stuff. That's not what our businesses are. They're sanctuaries for people to arrive and just have fun and forget the rest of the world. I used to put speakers. This is how far I'm going back. I put speakers into all of my businesses and I played this. And again, right, don't forget, like, how old are you, Jay? 26, right? So I'm going back 20 years, right? You're 6 at this time. You've grown up with a phone. You've grown up with the internet, right? I was the first generation to be a teenager and almost finished teenagers, the last generation to grow up without a phone. So I grew up without a phone. I grew up without internet. I grew up without email. Now, I got it at like 17, 18. So I'm at university and phones are coming out and internet's getting bigger and people are getting email addresses and all that stuff. So I'm like putting stuff into my business in the 2000s that was just well beyond what anybody else was doing. And one of the things, now speakers in a building weren't a big thing, right? But I got them plugged in and connected them to an iPod. Now, 2007, iPods have just come out. I've got this iPod and I come back into my office and I say, hey, can we get some music put on this? Because I want to change the atmosphere in the building. And I made them download jazz. It was a jazz like coffee shop style thing, right, in my office. So if you walked in, it was a jazz kind of exactly what you would find in a really cool like New Orleans coffee shop, right? That type of mood. But I had to put speakers into ceilings like this so that wherever you walked in the building, you heard the same music. So it felt effortless. But what I wanted to do was get rid of the music. Sorry, the radio. Every other business in the world, you walk in, they have the fucking Fox News on or CNN with breaking news flashing across, this person's dead or, bomb's gone off or whatever it will be. Or they'd have the radio. And on the radio, unfortunately, every 15 minutes they talk about the weather. Every 30 minutes they talk about the bad news. Every 10 minutes in between that, they talk about some traffic jam that you're going to be stuck in when you leave. And I didn't want that. I wanted people coming into my office and escaping all of that. And pivotal to that was a girl or a guy on the front desk who was just a lovely human being. And I was very blessed to have some wonderful, wonderful front desk girls, Becky, Vicky, Jess, who were with me for a long, long, long time. And they really lit the place up. That doesn't mean if I was running the business today that I wouldn't still have those gals or that type of customer service going on, but I would layer it now around the AI because there's an inevitability of that being a need for a business if it wants to stay profitable and be still around in the future. So the right next place to keep the 8 to 4 guy or girl, train the crap out of them and encourage them to use their personalities and have fun and look for any way that you can to differentiate yourself from every other business. And then plug in AI as quickly as you can and improve the speed of the service because that speed plus love Speed in terms of the way that you'll respond, plus the love that you're going to give somebody inside of the clinic. You do that, you'll need suitcases to take the money home because everybody else is going to neglect customer service. They're going to replace it with AI. Forget the tangible AI speed and convenience. And don't misinterpret what I'm saying there, because I'm not stripping out the love. I'm making sure that the customer gets what they want quickly. But then when they arrive, I'm making sure that they get more than what they could ask for because I've got some good human interaction going on in the business. All right, got time for one more? Or are we done?
I think we got one time. I want to go one more. Yeah.
Come on then, let's go.
Let's do it. All right, we got Alabama.
Alabama, love it. Where did I go in Alabama recently? Where do I go? Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville. Here's a story for you. Ready? I got stories for all of these places. So I was going to see a business coach, Greg Crabtree, and he is in Alabama. So the naive English guy asks his secretary to book a flight. The only city that I know in Alabama is Birmingham, right? So I book a flight from Orlando to Birmingham, and I land 50 minutes later, and I put my Uber on, type in the address of the hotel and the place that I need to be, to find that it's 2 hours and 20 minutes away. And I could have flew to bloody Nashville because it's closer than Huntsville, Alabama, and even worse, Huntsville has its own airport. So I ended up 2 hours and 20 minutes in an Uber late at night from Birmingham to Alabama to Huntsville. I had some interesting conversations with the taxi driver who told me all about the history of Birmingham, and I had to go all the way back the next day as well. So that was my story. But anyway, yeah, let's go. Barbecue's amazing as well.
I think you kind of answered this question, but same question almost. How can I make sure my new patients keep coming back to me every week?
How do we make sure that patients come back to you every week? Well, let's acknowledge that they might not want to come back every single week, right? But if it's a short-term back pain problem that they need to come twice a week, we never stop talking to them about the outcome that they want, right? If we stop talking to them about the outcome, they'll stop coming. And if you remind them, because very quickly with physio, the pain goes. The pain will go after 3 or 4 sessions, but that doesn't mean the problem's fixed. And my experience was that the minute that they stopped being in pain, they'd start to talk to me about whether or not they needed to keep coming. And I would always say to them, don't forget, you want to be back on the golf course. This wasn't about pain. So this wasn't about me eradicating your back pain. That's what we needed to do to just get you comfortable. But you came to me because you wanted to play golf or basketball or whatever it was, or walk. And I would remind them every session, and the phrase I used to use, here's your money. What's the phrase you use? Money? That's money. So here's the money. Do we have a money? Do we have a money sound effect? No? Money sound effect? All right. Money sound effect that we would have liked to have had, the money was this question. So every patient that came in, I would ask them, how close do you think we are to getting you back on the golf course so that you could play at the level that you want to play? So I'd always ask them at the start of the session how close they thought we were to getting them back to that outcome, not how is your pain. Never ever ask a patient, how are you doing? Because all they'll do is refer to their pain. If you say to the patient, how have you been this week? They'll look at their ankle and they'll say, oh, my pain's much better. And in doing so, you've just conditioned them to think that this whole thing is about when the pain goes, I don't need to come back. When you talk to them about how far away we are from getting back on the golf course pain-free, able to hit that ball further than his buddies and have a drink and a beer in the 19th, their mind changes completely, because that's what it's about. And these are the subtleties that they almost sentence. There's a reason that 99% of the physical therapy struggles, because they just do what everybody else does. But if you change your marketing, change your message, change your conversation, change what you mean to people, you change how much is in your bank. Here. Done. All right, we're going to wrap up. That's a wrap. That's exactly 1 hour. All right, thank you everybody who's joined us. Look out for us next week. We are going to do pop-up coffee with Goughy sessions every they'll be popping up. That's all I'm going to say. So if you want to know when the next one is, you'll find out. Head over to @thePaulGough. This thing will be on the podcast. You'll be able to check it out on the replay on the podcast, and you will be able to listen back on YouTube as well. The Paul Gough. It's also on my Facebook page, but it will be up on the podcast later today for anybody who's just joined. And those of you listening back on the podcast, if you want to get in and join live, we're building a wonderful community here. Do you know what I think we need? We're going to need a phone in. I think this needs to be a phone in. So I think we need to start looking at the technical capability for this thing to be a phone in, and let's let people come on live rather than just asking questions, and I can get some more text. So a few things have come out from today. Number one, I now know who who Patrick Mahomes is. I always knew who that guy was, and Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce's, I just think he's amazing, and Taylor Swift is even better. So I'm going to be a Chiefs fan, I think, from now on. I now know what the playoff is in the NFL, so I can watch that with just as much lack of interest this weekend. And what else did I learn today? The Bucks were the last team to get in a wild card.
They won the Super Bowl.
And I learned that nobody in this office knows where Nebraska is. Yeah. Answers on a postcard, please, to 1180 Celebration Boulevard. If you know where Nebraska is, that would be cool. Yesterday, California got it, so it was Nebraska today. So, yeah, we're going to be back at the Paul Gough on Instagram, and I'm going to, final thing that we've learned from today, I think this needs to be a phone in. We're going to work on the tech capability. We will give you 24 hours notice. Jump on Instagram. You'll see it on the stories. You'll see it on my feed, and we'll tell you when this show is 24 hours out every single time. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and do tune in again next time. We'll see you then. Good luck.